cover here tonight. So I'd like to get us started. Want to thank everybody for taking time to join us. At least nobody has to do yard work yet. I mean, or at least on the south end of town, we don't. We got about 4 or 5 inches of snow. So anyway, this should be an exciting meeting tonight. We've got two fantastic speakers on a great topic and something that we've been wanting to know more about. I think a lot of us. I just had to mention a couple things, or I'd like to mention a couple things that MRES is going to be having their 30-second solar boat regatta on May 18th, and so we'd like to invite everybody to participate in that. And come and be part of it, or if by chance you have a school that would be interested in joining in the fun, where the kids actually build or use existing boats and put solar on them and race for that day. And it's either sun or cloudy, we still race because they have batteries in each boat. And we'll also have at that particular event, we'll have the University of Minnesota solar car there. So that'll should be really interesting. And they did very well in their race in Australia. I think it was number 2 in that particular race for them. And then the other thing MRES has coming up that we'd love to have people join us and participate in any way they can is we have this eco experience that we've been doing for a number of years. And we're always looking for volunteers there. So if you have any interest in either one of those particular things, please check out our website, which is mnrenewables.org, which is probably because you're on the call, so you had to use it to get here. And so anyway, with that, I'd like to get started. Lisa Thurston is a good friend for many years and been very active in the electric vehicle industry here locally, and all the different educational programs and everything that are going on. And Shelby, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Gamache.
Gamache. Okay, I was going to say it that way, and then I didn't know if that was right or not. So that's French, right?
Yeah, I always tell people it's like ganache, just with an M.
Okay. Well, anyway, we've got two wonderful presenters to fill us in on information tonight. So let's get started. Thanks so much for both of you doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us, Doug. So hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Gamache, and I am a clean air manager with the American Lung Association. I'm joined by my colleague, Lisa Thurston, tonight. Lisa is a clean air director with the Lung Association and is also the director of the Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition. We're excited to provide an overview of our coalition's work throughout Minnesota and answer any questions that you may have as we go along. The Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition supports alternative fuel development, infrastructure development, and clean fuel educational activities. But over the last few years, there's been a significant increase in electrification, which has led to us hosting electric vehicle showcases, EV car share development, and electric car sharing implementation with a variety of different partners. We'll briefly go over what our Clean Air team does at the Lung Association and what the Clean Cities program is, and then we'll spend most of our time going in depth on current Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition projects. And then at the end, we just have a couple of relevant funding opportunities to talk about and available resources. So the Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition is one of over 75 coalitions throughout the country. That's part of the U.S. Department of Energy's Clean Cities program. The coalitions are comprised of both a host organization and various community partners working to foster the nation's economic, environmental, and energy security. Each coalition works locally to afford domestic transportation fuels, energy efficient mobility systems, and other fuel saving technologies and practices. This is done through promoting the use of alternative fuels like biofuels and electricity, as well as strategies like idle reduction. The Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition was designated in 2001 and is hosted by the American Lung Association. And in addition to our Clean Cities work, Lisa and I are part of the St. Paul-based clean air team at the Lung Association. The Clean Cities program actually celebrated its 30th anniversary last year, and the Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition is hosting the National Clean Cities Workshop in September, which we're very excited about. This map shows all of the Clean Cities coalitions throughout the country. Our team does also host North Dakota Clean Cities, and one of our colleagues is based in Fargo and does similar work throughout North Dakota. We definitely understand the connection and relationship between the Lung Association and today's topic of electrification is not always obvious, but it is because, as you know, electric vehicles reduce harmful pollutants and do improve air quality compared to traditional petroleum vehicles. The Lung Association's mission is to save lives by improving lung health and preventing lung disease. And one strategy is to improve the air we breathe so it won't cause or worsen lung disease. The Lung Association champions healthy air for all and does have multiple teams devoted to improving both indoor and outdoor air quality. Next slide, Lisa. As mentioned in the last slide, Clean Cities coalitions are locally based with the ability to tap into national resources. Our main activities are shown in the graphic here and include educating on fuel and energy choices and how they affect air quality, and also providing technical assistance to fleets and end users. The Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition does utilize national resources and connections to provide unbiased information on tools on alternative fuels. If you or your organization do have questions about alternative fuels or advanced technology vehicles, we would be happy to partner with you. We can provide information on alternative fuels, electric, biodiesel, compressed natural gas, ethanol, and propane. We can help plan and host an alternative fuel technology demonstration or a ride and drive event, which provides an opportunity to test drive alternative fuel vehicles. We can provide technical assistance to fleets and end users, as I mentioned, and other partners via in-person training workshops, educational materials, or one-on-one meetings. We can also organize and facilitate technical trainings or education sessions on alternative fuel vehicles, their appropriate use, infrastructure, as well as safety issues. We can offer grant writing support, and then finally, we can provide access to Clean Cities University for online learning. This is definitely not a comprehensive list, but if you are interested, we would be happy to connect with you after the presentation and find ways that we can provide support. Okay, next slide. Okay, so now that I just talked briefly about Clean Cities and our team, are there any general questions about the Clean Cities program, the Lung Association, or any types of activities we can assist with and support?
And we were going to take the route of taking questions throughout the presentation too. So feel free to raise your hand or speak up. What is it? 17 seconds, 10 seconds? What's the rule?
Okay. Well, feel free to ask questions as we go. We will now discuss current projects that the Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition is either the primary grant recipient of or supports in some way. And you can find more information about these projects on our website, Clean Air Choice, under the projects tab. I think most of them are up to date. I've been working on that recently, so feel free to reference that after if you want more info. Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Great, thank you so much. So we're going to go through about 6 or 8 different projects here in this first one, and we're kind of going in order of ones that have been on our project board for a while here. In 2020, the U.S. Department of Energy awarded the American Lung Association and Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition funding for the Twin Cities Electric Vehicle Community Mobility Network project. After we received it and started working on it, we realized that name was way too long to be talking about within the community and changed it to EV or EV Spot Network. So in in 2023, we also received additional funding for a new project that is expanding this work into more of the east side of St. Paul through a community-driven process. So I think many of you are familiar with this project already. The objective of the project is to deploy electric vehicle charging equipment and electric vehicles in St. Paul, Minneapolis, and the surrounding suburbs. The project also hosts ride and drives and other outreach and education efforts, creating a community-based mobility network and reduces the barriers to EV adoption. Within the EV network, we're looking to reduce the need to spend money on personal ownership of vehicles, improve mobility and access, reduce vehicle miles traveled, reduce air pollution, and accelerate EV adoption. This project, you can see the partners along the bottom here with St. Paul and Minneapolis, St. Paul and Minneapolis being the two cities that are part of the carshare program, Excel being the utility, and Our Car being the overseeing of the vehicle, the multifamily dwelling project, as well as the car sharing program. Supporting partners are East Metro Strong, and then funding came through a variety of partners. The Clean Cities portion is with the Department of Energy, which was just over 6.6 million, and 6.8 million was a match. And then there's other partners that are included, such as the McKnight Foundation, Energy Foundation, Metropolitan Council, 3M, and many others that have come on board since this project was implemented in 2020. So, oh, sorry, I was going to go in a little bit of detail with the East St. Paul expansion. With the new funding awarded to us in 2023, the original project partners will work on together with 4 community neighborhood organizations to engage community partners and members on the east side of St. Paul. The engagement will help identify locations for 10 new EV charging spots or sites, which will expand the EV car share service territory to new areas. In addition, the EV car sharing hubs will be established at 5 stations along the Gold Line rapid transit system set to open in 2025. So joining this project are Dayton's Bluff Community Council, Greater East Side Community Council, Payne-Phelan Community Council, and the Southeast Community Organization. So if anyone on this call is interested in looking into more in this project in this communities, be sure to follow up with us following the presentation. So talking about the first aspect, the car share program. So it's a service of the St. Paul is a service of the City of St. Paul operated by Our Car in a 35 square mile home area in St. Paul and Minneapolis. Similar to renting a car, using a car share service lets you access a vehicle without having to own one. Unlike traditional car rentals, you can pick up one of many vehicles parked within the service area at any time of day or night, and you can find available cars along the EV using the EV or Our Car app on your smartphone. You can use the credit card application process, or you can use your Metro card. So there's a lot of different ways to make this a great open project for all different entities. So the car sharing makes car access a community resource, helping people save money, reducing air pollution, and lowering traffic congestion and parking demand in the area. For every car sharing vehicle available in the community, the people of that community purchase 8 to 11 fewer cars than they did before, per some research when we were writing this project. This lowers local air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions while protecting public health and helping slow climate change. So this here on the slide is, there's the website, evcarshare.com. We did an overview, and we currently have 175 electric vehicles, which are leased by the City of St. Paul and contracted by Our Car. And since its inception in 2022, 184,000 trips have taken place and 1.9 million emission-free miles have been driven. So the second part of this project is the EV Spot Network. So this is the public car sharing aspect of it, where the level 2 chargers in the EV Spot network feature at each site, there are 70 hubs, and all sites include level 2 chargers, and then 12 of these 70 sites will include DC fast chargers. At each of the sites, you'll notice a blue EV charger as well as a green EV charger, where the green EV charger is part of the car share program, where only the car share Chevy Bolts and Leafs are allowed to charge. And the green ones, or I'm sorry, the blue ones, the general public is able to charge at. So for each charging hub, it's available to the public for both the car share program as well as privately owned EVs. The locations were selected to increase access to EVs in historically divested neighborhoods. And of the 70 hubs, 59 are completed, and we're looking to have the last 11 completed as soon as the snow melts. So you can see a quick overview of the different pricing platforms. I am personally an individual user price platform, and then switching to the Plus on occasion when I have to use the car share program a little bit more. Excuse me. There's a few other options for students and businesses. And then there's the public charging rates here, and you can find more information at evspotnetwork.org. Excuse me.
Lisa, will there be a spot in the new neighborhood that's developing? I think it's called the Heights, and it's an eco village that's going in over on the east side. Will there be a spot there for vehicles?
We are going to be adding 10 new sites on the east side of St. Paul in those 4 communities I mentioned. And if you send me the address, or maybe Shelby can multitask while I'm talking here, I don't know, we can look it up. But I'd be happy to follow up with you on that.
Yeah,
so the third part.
It's a new development, so it maybe isn't even, I mean, they're just building it right now, so.
If we'd been a little more creative, we could have done a jump onto the website here and showcase the platform, but it's pretty slick. The website and the app is very easy to use, and you can really see where the vehicles are and where they're pending to come to as well.
Thank you.
All right, so the last part is the multi-family project. So this pilot project is adding charging stations and shared electric vehicles at 15 or more multi-family properties. Our goal in the end by 2025 with the Department of Energy funding as well as other sources will be 25 by the close of 2025. So the focus is on affordable charging sites, increasing electric mobility options and decreasing barriers to building out electric vehicle charging in multi-family dwellings. And just to let you know that the applications are still open for a few sites we're still looking to fill. You can go to the website ourcar.org/multifamily. Currently, there are 7 sites currently active. You can see on this slide that there are sites in Minneapolis, Little Canada, Richfield, Bloomington, St. Louis Park, and Hopkins. And things are going great. There have been challenges with education on actual vehicles and charging them, plugging them in, and activating it, but we've learned a lot as the project has progressed, and things are going very well. So before I move to the next slide, are there any other questions on this aspect?
I have a question. I'm just wondering, because across the street from me, right behind those houses, is I-94 in Stadium Village. And it is noisy, really noisy, day and night. And I wonder, I don't know if that noise is just the tires, but would EVs be quieter in the sense that I'm talking about if there's a mass of them? You know, if more and more people have access or have one, is it a quieter background experience? Just a curiosity.
overall, electric vehicles are silent as they're driving. So when you start it up, you can't hear that it's on typically, unless you have some music on or so forth, or you have a plug-in electric vehicle where it starts with the engine on. But overall, you would end up with a more quiet community with electric vehicles. When electric vehicles first came out, um, eight years ago or so, there were concerns with the vehicles coming up in driving in communities. And so they added a lot of safety parameters to this, where a noise for backing up or when you're going slower. School buses often have a little sing-song sound playing that you'll hear. So in the end, I would believe it goes to a more silent community.
Lisa, this is John Dunlop. I'm wondering if you have any, I mean, if it would be possible to expand the multifamily project to to communities that are living in multifamily units that do not have overnight EV charging. Is that included in the project?
Absolutely. The project is in partnership with Excel Energy, and so it has to, with the parameters of this particular funding, it has to be in Excel's territory, and it has to be in our CARS contract territory, which covers most of the Twin Cities. So it goes out as far as Hopkins, as you've seen. But the electric vehicle charging equipment is installed by Excel Energy using Clipper Creek Level 2 at this point in time. And then electric vehicle is supplied to the resident site, the multifamily site.
But I saw an indication it's really only for income qualified facilities. How
That
about
is the
the
first
facilities?
priority for this project. If you have any interest, please, or know of someone, no matter what the level of housing is, please submit an application to this. As funding is going to continue to go out, we'll be keeping a running list of interested opportunities, even if they're not eligible for this round of funding.
So that would be accessible through your website?
It's accessible through the ourcar.org/multifamily, or you could send Shelby or I an email as well.
I'm thinking primarily of the incredible number of people who are moving to multi-unit or multi-unit dwellings or multi-family dwellings that do not have access to consistent, reliable overnight charging. And I would love to connect with you, and I will do that.
That sounds great. And again, this project is particular just for the Twin Cities, but absolutely there's so much funding coming out, which Shelby's going to be talking about a little bit at the end of this presentation. And we always want to have project ready, a shovel ready project in the wings.
I have a question about what you consider a multifamily. I live in a homeowners association where we each have a house, detached house, and common parking lots that we park in. But we've been looking at providing electrified charging stations for some of the homeowners, and we also have common parking areas. Would that be considered multifamily, or would that be not?
So for this project in particular, we are looking for larger sites. And I don't have the information pulled up in front of me, but I believe the minimum units that is most desirous is 100 units at this point in time with this funding opportunity. But by all means, we have resources that can help partners walk through the process if needed without specific funding for the infrastructure. Great.
Lisa, that's very helpful, that the 100 unit threshold. And fortunately, many of the multi-unit dwellings for appealing to seniors qualify. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share out the matrix following this meeting too for anyone else. I'll send it to Doug and he can share with everyone. Shelby, any other questions coming online?
Oh, nothing in the chat.
All right. Okay, so moving on to our next project called Cool EVs, which stands for Cold Weather Operation, Observation, and Learning Electric Vehicles. This project, again, was awarded in 2020 and supports deployment of 4 medium and heavy-duty battery electric vehicles in 3 community fleets in Minnesota. This project is strategically designed to overcome the challenges of cold weather operation, which is crucial to advancing electric vehicle in fleet applications specifically. So the 4 all-electric vehicles included in this project are 2 box trucks, which are used by the University of Minnesota in St. Paul, a recycling truck with a side loader, refuse hauler, and a school bus. So the fleets are going to be sharing some resources, including training, technology, and project management support as this project continues on. With the takeaways, these 4 electric vehicles with the data that we had written into the application when we first wrote the application will eliminate 390,000 pounds of greenhouse gas emissions and displace 17,024 gallons of diesel per year. So we just actually got the vehicles on the road, as my next couple of slides are going to be talking about. So we'll be updating this information at the end of 2024. And along with this project, we have training and outreach initiatives, which will highlight innovations and impacts and challenges. And then also analyzing, will provide information of fleet operators in the cold weather climates considering electric vehicles and providing best practices to optimize EV performance, helping alleviate range anxiety that plagues many EV operators. We've also seen a lot of other small challenges just in the process of onboarding these vehicles. So, so there's been a lot of small cases, scenarios that we've, best practices we've learned. Partners include Eureka Recycling, University of Minnesota, Center for Transportation and the Environment does a lot of the data, does all the data analysis, and Eastern Carver School District, County Schools has the school bus, and then ourselves.
Does Eureka have just one vehicle?
They do just have the one electric refuse hauler right now.
Okay.
So, and this project was just under $1 million with 1.9 million in match from the Department of Energy and also other partners. So I'll just do a quick overview of each of the fleets. And again, this is just tip of the iceberg for information. So I'd be happy to follow up questions offline probably. But for the Cool EVs, Eastern Carver School District, this was the easiest project to onboard and deploy. They were awarded 1/3 of the funding through the VW settlement back in 2020 and did not have, they had 1/3 that they could pay in their own budget. And then they came to us right at the right timing to allow us to bring in funding for the last 1/3 of this project. Because as you know, school buses are typically 2 to 3 times more expensive than gasoline or diesel buses. This electric school bus is pure electric. It's one of the few pure electric. It does not have any auxiliary heating power on it. It has a battery capacity of 150 kilowatts. Propulsion system is Cummins Power Drive 7000. Typically, we see 120 miles, and it uses a Clipper Creek Level 2 charger in the facility. So the average consumption is, this is kind of geeking out numbers here, but we have 2.2 kilowatts per mile. This would result in a range of 56 miles, assuming 80% of the 155 kilowatt battery is usable. This is a shift from the summer average efficiency of 1.6 kilowatts per mile and resulting in range of 75.5 miles. For the full school day data points, the best efficiency has been 1.85 kilowatts miles in November using 105 kilowatts of energy. The worst was 2.9 kilowatts per mile in December using 165 kilowatts of energy. So I'm not able to go in too much detail behind the scenes of these straight up numbers here, but happy to put you in contact if you want to really go into deeper information about these. But we've seen with the fall temperatures dropping, we're starting to see a trend between the efficiency and temperature. However, there has also been efficiency variations that are not explained strictly by changes in weather in the temperature. And the wide variation in efficiency makes predicting range challenging. And on average, the efficiency improves by about 0.21 kilowatts per mile for every increase of 10 degrees. So it currently has about 20,500 miles as of December 2023. And if anyone is interested in having the bus come be showcased at an event, they love to showcase the vehicle. So just let us know. I'd be happy to put you in contact with the fleet manager. And it's already been at many events in the community with this group, I believe, as well. So the next project is University of Minnesota. They have 2 box trucks with the delivery in September 2023. The trucks became en route in December and have an average about 150 miles of range. They are, they had some just general slow process in paperwork just from September to get on the roads in December. And then we've seen during the cold snaps, the battery power is reduced by roughly half, which is not unusual for electric vehicles that we've seen in Minnesota, especially on medium duty vehicles. And on mornings in the 30 degree range, the truck will maintain around 150 miles of range when the driver starts the day with the truck plugged in overnight. And when it is really cold, the range would roughly be 80 miles of range. And on warm winter nights, what we've seen so far, the drivers have started the day with an estimated of 190 miles of range. Currently, one of the vehicles just came off the route due to a heat pump problem. So it's back at the dealership and they're looking to take care of that issue and also look into concerns and make sure things are taken care of if that happens to the second vehicle. But we have not heard an update on that yet. But overall, the vehicle has been running great. Again, it's a Peterbilt 220 electric. And then the final one is our most challenging vehicle fleet is with Eureka Recycling, where we have had a long delay in the order process. We ordered it back in early 2021, and it came in winter, December of 2022, and then there was a battery recall. And again, this is with Battle Electric. And then it was pushed out. It'll come here in April, and then May, then June, July, August. Finally, we got it in September. And the charging equipment is Positive Energies. And when the vehicle arrived in September, it was unable to do a handshake between the charging equipment and the truck. And so all the partners have been out looking at it, problem solving, being challenged by the technology of it. And as of last week or a week and a half ago, we have it on the route. So it's very exciting. It's been a long time coming. And currently the truck is picking about 350 carts in a route with 150 miles of range. And literally it's just been on the road for about a week. So we're looking forward to some really great data reports in the coming months with CenterPoint. Center for Transportation and Energy, CTE. But the partners have been really great in working together and problem solving on this. So we've really learned a lot on what to expect. There were a lot of changes in the chassis that they had to take into consideration with the being in the Twin Cities and the alleys in the metro area, and ice range and potholes and plowing aspects where they had to change some of the underscape of the truck, as well as different types from aluminum to steel and so forth. So there's been a lot of tweaking on this truck to get it to this point. And with that, that wraps up this Cool EVs aspect. Any questions?
Lisa, quick question. On the buses, has there been any conversation about using a bus, the batteries, like for energy storage? I know some places in California and the East Coast have justified the additional cost of those buses by using them for energy storage and then selling energy back to the utility. Is there anything going on with that?
Currently not at this point with this bus. It is the pure electric, and they are just getting through its drivability each day on routes as of right now. So the Excel Energy is looking at a pilot project to be able to roll out that aspect of bus to grid in the coming year. So we had talked to them probably 2 years ago and had gotten a variety of different fleets that would be of interest. And so we know that they have a good list to start off with as soon as it's awarded or the project can kick off. But it probably won't be this fleet at this point in time. And just in passing, one of the reasons we chose each of these 3 fleets is they've been champions in clean fuels and vehicle technologies for over 20 years for the most part. Eureka Recycling has been running on B20 since early 2000 with all their fleet trucks, even before it was mandated. The University of Minnesota has been using biodiesel, as well as they had a very large fleet of flex fuel vehicles, E85. And then Carver County has 57 propane buses currently in their route. So they're looking to have electric and propane down the road. So they're great champions and willing to take these opportunities that come with the challenges of new vehicles in the community.
I got to give a shout out to Eureka because I helped them spec out those original vehicles, and yeah, their ability to try something new is pretty amazing. I really think they're great.
This is Sandy again. I wonder, I know nothing about solar technology and where it can be and where it can't, but my dream would be if vehicles like this, particularly buses, school buses, city buses, had photovoltaics on them, so they're not only using electric energy, but they're producing it too. I mean, just think of them driving around on a sunny day or whatever, how much energy that would be. Is anyone ever talking about that at all? Is it remotely feasible at some point?
I have not heard about it on school buses per se, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. But every grant that we write includes renewable energy for the power aspect of it. And all 70 hubs for the carshare program are using renewable energy through Excel and the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Okay.
Lisa, John Benda here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I have a question about, I applaud the experimentation. Has anybody, like the city of Toronto, which is a cold weather place, they've got over 300 city buses that run on electric. Has anybody called them and asked them how it works?
There's a lot of review of different partnerships that's been going around. As I mentioned, CTE is the data analysis for this project, Cool EVs, and they did all the Duluth data analysis on the transit buses as well as when we were looking with Eureka Recycling, we talked to the city of New York, as well as Anchorage, city of Anchorage in Alaska, they were having refuse haulers as well. So we talked to them about different experiences and what to expect. With this refuse hauler, it was very early on the markets, and when we were looking, Peterbilt was and Mack were not able to sell a one vehicle into this fleet at that point in time back in 2021, and a lot has changed so much in that time period. But that is one of the resources through the Department of Energy Clean Cities that we're always able sharing and peer sharing, networking, different experiences, so case studies and challenges.
Yeah, there's been a few places that have really jumped ahead of it, and I think they've been running it for a while. You know, I'm always curious about when the electric vehicles are going to become more efficient in the cold weather, because we get as cold as anywhere. So I've been kind of waiting on that myself for a car, but you know, there has been some good experience over time, I think, in some of those northern cities, maybe more in the Eastern Canadian world, but just curious. And it seems like they'd be a great resource to kind of, the school buses are particularly of interest to me. I mean, all the diesel that comes out of schools, school buses and city buses is enormous. So I'm mostly focused on that myself, but yeah, just finding out, you know, saving time maybe in certain areas by researching people who've been at it for a while, and I'm sure they struggle with it on some level. But yeah, it sounds like you're doing that, so thank you.
It is a work in progress. So, so now I'm going to pass it back to Shelby here.
Thank you, Lisa. So I will have quite a bit of information here talking about the Upper Midwest Intertribal Electric Vehicle Charging Community Network, funded by the Department of Energy. Native Sun Community Power Development, a local Twin Cities nonprofit that promotes energy efficiency, renewable energy, and equitable energy transitions for Native nations, is the main recipient of this $6.7 million grant. But our team at the Lung Association is a subrecipient of the funding, and we're very much involved in all aspects of the project. This project is known and branded as Electric Nation and spans almost 500 miles through North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. And the main goal is to address plug-in electric vehicle barriers and reduce reliance on fossil fuels for tribal members in the Upper Midwest. Electric Nation is a Native-led project. Native Sun Executive Director Robert Blake is one of the principal investigators on this project, and the other principal investigator is Joseph McNeil, who is the general manager of SAGE, Standing Rock Renewable Energy Authority, known as SAGE, that's what we call it. SAGE works toward community development and independence for Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. This project really arose from a need to overcome historic transportation and economic inequities by combining electric vehicle technology and charging infrastructure and the support needed to engage new fleets and drivers. There are major disparities with who has been able to benefit from vehicle electrification so far, and due to the establishment of both Red Lake and Standing Rock reservations in extremely rural reservations and locations, the people of Red Lake and Standing Rock still often endure government dependency for basic human rights and experience exclusion from participating in many economic opportunities. So the Electric Nation project was designed to address several of these inequities and barriers to electric vehicle infrastructure that Red Lake and Standing Rock members experience, including but not limited to travel routes that often exceed 250 miles each way, reliance on gasoline and diesel fuel, and the burden of high transportation costs that come with living far distances away from jobs, groceries, medical care, other needs. The project began in 2022 and is currently in process. It will run through 2025. Specific primary objectives of this project are listed on the slide here, and I will go into more detail in each of these points in the next few slides. But a quick note before moving on that this project is the first of hopefully many branded as Electric Nation, so you may see that name used for many more years on different but related work by Native Son. But for this project, I'll just refer to it as Electric Nation. Okay, next slide. So as I mentioned, one objective of Electric Nation is to host 52 outreach and education events during the 3-year project. These efforts utilize both existing community events and additional outreach activities to introduce electric vehicles and charging, create awareness about the project and its lessons, and inspire a wider adoption of electric vehicles. The target audience for these efforts includes Red Lake and Standing Rock Nation members, drivers and fleets in surrounding communities, auto dealership staff in surrounding communities, and additional Native Nation members. Specifically, we're hoping to have presence at 22 local events such as powwows and other community gatherings to showcase EVs, promote the availability of EV charging and benefits of EVs, and discuss the Electric Nation project overall. The photo on the left is from the Red Lake Urban Picnic in St. Paul last summer, which I attended with Native Son staff to promote the project. We are also in the process of conducting 16 trainings for sales staff at auto dealerships in Bemidji, Minnesota and Bismarck, North Dakota to better prepare them for selling EVs and ensure they're knowledgeable about the region's existing and then future charging infrastructure as well. The next objective is to host 12 electric vehicle ride and drive events with tribal members. Ride and drive events allow people to gain firsthand experience driving and viewing EVs, and it's really crucial to their adoption. The photo on the right is from an EV ride and drive event that we hosted in Standing Rock last June, and it was part of a larger community event put on by our project partner Sage in the town of Cannonball. And then finally, our team will coordinate safety trainings in both Red Lake and Standing Rock for first responders, tow truck operators, and fleet mechanics. And the trainings will focus on working around electric vehicles during emergencies and general maintenance. Next slide. So another aspect of this project is actual electric vehicle deployment for tribal governments, utilities, schools, and businesses. And as part of Electric Nation, 19 light, medium, and heavy-duty battery electric vehicles either have been or soon will be deployed in Red Lake and Standing Rock. Once in use, the vehicles will test and demonstrate the potential to meet the needs of rural tribal community fleets in cold climates. The vehicles will also expand on complementary efforts that both Native Son and Sage are currently doing in the hopes of obtaining energy self-determination through renewable energy. So vehicles that have recently been deployed, like in the last month, really exciting, include 10 Ford F-150 Lightnings. Red Lake Fishery got 3, Red Lake Agriculture got a couple, and then Standing Rock Fleets got 5, and 1 for Sage as well. And Native Son got a Ford Mach-E, and then finally Standing Rock Transit received an electric shuttle as well. We do still have a few more vehicles to deploy. Red Lake Family and Child Services will be receiving 4 Volkswagen ID4s, and then we'll be getting 1 more Ford F-150 Lightning for Red Lake Agriculture, and then eventually 2 school buses for Red Lake Charter School as well. And yesterday, actually, Standing Rock had a vehicle launch meeting yesterday where they had people from the community and the fleets that will be utilizing the vehicles they just received come and look at them and test drive them. So it was really exciting that that just happened yesterday. Next slide. The final major objective of this project is developing both level 2 and DC fast charging infrastructure within Red Lake and Standing Rock and on major travel routes between upper Midwest tribal communities and population centers. Electric Nation will install level 2 charging equipment at key tribal locations, as well as DC fast charging equipment in communities and along highway corridors connected with frequent travel destinations. And in total, approximately 55 DC fast chargers and 60 level 2 charging stations will be installed as part of this project. 4 charging stations have already been installed, with more going in soon. The image here is of the level 2 charger installed at Sitting Bull College, which is in the Standing Rock community of Fort Yates. We recently had an open RFP process for finding a charging company to install about 40 chargers, and the details of the contract are being worked out. So that portion of the project should be moving forward soon. Another portion of the chargers are being installed by electric utilities as cost share match for this project. So Otter Tail Power, Minnesota Power, and Xcel Energy are all installing chargers. And then also the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and Zeph Energy did allocate significant cost share to install about 35 DC fast charging stations as part of this project as well. Next slide. So a new Electric Nation project called Expanding Regional EVSE Access with Tribal Nations Based on Community Priorities was awarded to Native Son by the Department of Energy. And we will once again partner with Native Son on this project. Our team actually had the chance to meet U.S. Department of Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm last spring. She visited our office in St. Paul to announce the 2022 Vehicles Technologies Office program-wide funding opportunity winners, which included this Electric Nation project and then 2 others that our Clean Air team is a lead on. One is the East St. Paul EV expansion that Lisa mentioned earlier, and then another is called Stellar that I'll talk about later. So the goals of this new Electric Nation project include engaging 34 tribal communities in the Western Great Lakes region, offering support in developing individualized EVSE deployment plans, and then installing 15 level 2 charging stations at additional Native nations in Wisconsin and Michigan. Okay, any questions on Electric Nation before I move on?
Lisa, I was just going to tell you, when I asked you today about Solar Bear, that is Bob Blake right there. So that same guy. It's an amazing project. He told me he started it thinking and talking about it last spring. He was at a ride and drive in Mankato speaking, and he started talking about it. And he said after a short time, all of a sudden he's in Washington, D.C. talking to people. And so it sounds like that just, really fell together. I mean, just a great idea.
It's a really great project. I'm really happy our team is a part of it. And I'm excited to see, what additional projects kind of fall under the Electric Nation umbrella.
Shelby, John Benda again. I have to sign off in a minute for another Zoom, but I have a suggestion if you haven't done it already.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys in contact with the East Phillips Neighborhood Institute?
I don't, Lisa, do you know?
I believe they are part of the community-based organizations with the carshare program and the work that our community environment liaison staff that came on this last summer has been. But I believe Shelby and I are a little bit different areas of work, so we could follow up with you on that if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my suggestion is that their new hydroponic farm that's going to be eventually put up in the Lake and Hiawatha area as a clean air, actually initially was a clean air lung problem initiative because all the kids have so much asthma in the neighborhood from the pollution. But they're going to build this hydroponic farm. It's been approved by the city and it's going to be multi-use. It's going to be huge. It will become the Lakota hub of Minneapolis. I guarantee it. But if you had electric cars there that were usable like you do with our car, that could be a hub, I believe, like you have in St. Paul. And it's just starting to be, it isn't being built yet, but it's just starting in development. And I just would suggest you get in contact with the East Phillips Neighborhood Institute because they will be in charge of whatever happens with that development. And it's close to Little Earth. It's going to serve, one of the most underserved community neighborhoods in forever in Minneapolis. And it's going to be wonderful. But be wonderful to see you get electric car use, shared car use in there. And that's just something you triggered in my thoughts, but just an idea.
Thank you very much for that. We've taken note of it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next project here. So last year, our team had the opportunity to be part of the pilot cohort for a new U.S. Department of Energy initiative called Communities Local Energy Action Program, referred to as Communities LEAP, or CLEAP for short, is what we call it. The program is now, I believe, in its second cohort and aims to facilitate sustained community-wide economic and environmental benefits through DOE clean energy deployment work. It's specifically open to low-income, energy-burdened communities that are also experiencing either direct environmental justice impact or direct economic impacts from a shift away from historical reliance on fossil fuels. Under CLEAP, the Department of Energy matches selected communities with technical assistance providers to bring the community's clean energy planning and economic development visions to life. Hennepin County and Brooklyn Park were selected to be one of 24 pilot communities for this initiative. And the main project goal was to support the development of a replicable and scalable community engagement model that establishes feedback loops between underserved communities and government decision makers. So to achieve this goal, a partnership was formed between Hennepin County, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota Clean Cities Coalition, Great Plains Institute, and the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. And then we partnered with 6 community-based organizations in Minneapolis and Brooklyn Park to conduct a locally informed electric mobility education and engagement campaign. As a side note, electric mobility refers to just different types of transportation that run on electric motors instead of gasoline. So it can include electric vehicles, but is also like electric school buses, e-bikes, e-scooters as well. So the educational campaign we did took place between May and September 2023 and was led by the community-based organizations. It included 6 in-depth workshops and tabling at 39 in-person events where we collected over 800 questionnaire responses on community priorities for electric mobility options. As the local Clean Cities Coalition, our role with this project was to provide the other organizations with technical assistance. So we created materials and trained the 6 community-based organizations on electric mobility so that they felt comfortable leading workshops on that topic. And then finally, we hosted a ride and drive event with the city of Brooklyn Park last August, which is pictured here. So the CLEAP project is in its final stages now. A long, comprehensive report with findings from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory should be available soon. It's definitely taken longer than expected, but I will add the report to the CLEAP page on our website when it's available. Are there any questions on CLEAP? Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
Shelby and I were sure that we could not talk for over an hour on our projects here, but we have been doing coming up on time here. So I'll kind of power through these last 2 projects that I'm going to present on. This first one is called Empower, Equitable Mobility Powering Opportunities for Workplace Electrification Readiness. So the Empower project aims to build upon the work of the U.S. Department of Energy's EV Everywhere Workplace Challenge that took place back about 10 to 12 years ago. And with that workplace charging program, it demonstrated that a national scaled program can, 1, drive employer interest in workplace charging, and 2, grow support for EV charging, and then 3, build the availability of clean transportation commute options, and finally 4, spur significant private sector engagement. So the Empower project aims to amplify these opportunities through coordinated and diverse multi-state effort that will enable partners across the U.S. to accelerate the workplace charging program adoption and encourage plug-in electric vehicle adoption nationwide and drive investment across many industries and communities. So with this project, the team is designed to bring together individuals and organizations experienced with workplace charging and connect them to nationwide networks of partners that can utilize the existing relationships with employers, utilities, fleets to realize that the aims noted that are above and building upon the success and outputs of the workplace challenge. So the Empower team and its partners are utilizing and repurposing the best guidance and assets into targeted engagement plan and flexibility to involve a wide range of workplaces in diverse communities, such as corporate offices, airports, small businesses, universities, shopping centers. Everyone is eligible here. And this plan and the entities involved are coordinated through a resource-based web platform that can broadly and specifically inform the needs of many organizations to take advantage of workplace charging benefits. So some of the partners include the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, CADIO Group, Portland, different utilities, ICF, 35 individual Clean Cities coalitions, including Minnesota and North Dakota Clean Cities, and our own Yuka Kukkonen with Shift to Electric has done a lot of work on this from previous work that we'd built on over the years. So our goal in Minnesota is to have 25 workplaces, and in North Dakota, I think it's 12 or 15 workplaces. There's a great pledge form. If you know of anyone that's interested, it's just pledging to say you're interested in adding electric charging in the next year. So our goal is to get 25 pledges and then 13 actual installs, because we know sometimes it takes a long time, by the end of 2024. And these are live links here too. So
I have a question. What does the captain's role mean? The blue states?
It is overseeing the large projects. So there's 13 states and there's a lot of reporting with these Department of Energy projects. So keeping parameters, where are you at? Where's your outreach plan and so forth. So in Illinois actually is part of the staff of the American Lung Association that is a co-director with the Illinois Clean Cities Coalition. And they receive just a little bit more funding than some of the other states because of their extra time. Right. And you can use the QR code too, so on the screen here today. So, and then the next project is called Drive Electric USA 2. Back in 2020, the first project of Drive Electric USA 1 was rolled out, and they have since added 13 more states. And the project is an expansion of the DOE funded project from 2020 that added another 12 states and the Washington, D.C. to the process of developing another statewide collaborative and inclusive Drive Electric program. Drive Electric USA 2 is led by East Tennessee Clean Cities Coalition with active engagement from many of the coalitions, including Minnesota and other national partners. And a majority of these states are in the middle to lower tier of EV market adoption. Back when we started in, I want to say 2015 or so, we had one page of electric vehicles currently on the market, and today we're at 6. So we're no California, but we are holding our own. So some of the priorities you can see here is statewide branded EV program, which we have in place with our work with Drive Electric Minnesota, working with consumer education and local chapters, which we have with our EV owners group. We have over 3,000 EV owners in Minnesota that are actively working to be ambassadors and tell the story. Utility engagement is a great area. We have a lot of work done already, but I mean, always room to grow. So with mncharging.org, you can go to and see all the utility programs that are offering EV support currently, or EV charging. EV charging infrastructure planning, a lot with infrastructure deployment and building out, and then also, again, working with state and local government education. Dealership engagement, as Shelby had mentioned earlier, is a big, continuous growing area where the work is never done. And then fleet engagement and EV adoption, such as the Cool EV project. So again, Drive Electric USA is .org is website if you want to go out and look at it more. And if there aren't any other questions, I'll move on to the next slide.
Lisa, hi, this is Tim. Question for you. So so the states that have no color on them, does that mean they're already, you know, well on their way, or some of them aren't? What's that mean?
Tim, your breaking up was, Shelby, could you understand?
Tim, you're majorly breaking up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
If you write the question in the chat, maybe we can follow up.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, back over to Shelby.
I will try to be quick with these last couple. So one of our projects that recently began is called Supporting Transportation Electrification, Leadership, Learning, Assistance, and Resources, shortened to STELLAR. This project is Chicago-based, and one of our project partners at the bottom of the slide, the Illinois Alliance for Clean Transportation, is actually the Clean Cities Coalition for Illinois. STELLAR started up last October 2023 and will go through late 2025. And it has brought together 13 community-based organizations in Chicago, in addition to the project partners listed here, to conduct community engagement, outreach, technical assistance, and workforce training with underserved communities in the greater Chicago area. STELLAR has 4 overlapping stages. The first is that all 13 CBO partners will participate in a 9-month training series created by Forth on all things electric mobility. The first training will actually take place next month in March, and then it'll go through November. The second stage of the project is that CBOs interested in participating in the second year of the project will hold outreach events with support from an outreach firm that we identify through an RFP process. And the outreach events will educate residents about EVs and other types of electric mobility and charging. And then the third stage is that with assistance from project partners, the CBOs will develop their own unique strategic plans for transportation decarbonization specific to the community that they serve. And then finally, the fourth stage is that one of the partner organizations, OAI, will actually lead workforce training that's informed by the first year of the project. So it's, yeah, pretty new. We just started it, but it's been fun to be involved with, and I do really look forward to seeing its progress over the next year. And then next slide. Okay, so our final project is the Great River Road collaboration. This is our most recently awarded Department of Energy project as of January 8th, so very new. It's technically not started yet. We should have a contract in place soon and begin it in a couple months. Just very briefly, the Great River Road corridor collaboration will bring together about 10 Clean Cities coalitions and community-based organizations all along the Mississippi River to facilitate the communications, resource development, and coordination to develop and begin implementing a deliberate plan to foster broader adoption of charging and clean fuel infrastructure along the Mississippi River and for Mississippi River communities. Are there any quick questions on either STELLAR or Great River Road? I do have a slide on funding opportunities next. Okay, so I pulled together a list of current relevant funding opportunities. Most are related to EVs or electric mobility in some way, and I'll just highlight a couple. One is the U.S. Department of Energy 2024 Technology Integration Funding Opportunity. Concept papers for this are due March 12th. The Department of Energy has $15 million available to drive innovation in equitable clean transportation, and full applications are due at the end of April. Another one on here I want to point out is Minnesota Department of Commerce EV rebate program. This will go until funds expire. They have up to 2,500 available for new EVs and 600 for used EVs. And then the Minnesota Department of Revenue has an e-bike rebate program that takes effect July 1st with a credit maximum of $1,500. I'm really excited about this one. The state has $2 million to distribute each fiscal year through June 2026 for this program. The exact application process is not finalized, but the rebate amount will be based on the applicant's adjusted gross income from the previous year. But I think what's really exciting about this program is that the rebate certificate is presented to a participating bike shop at the time of purchase, and then the retailer will reduce the price of the e-bike according to the amount on the certificate versus historically rebates like get them back at tax time like way later and you still have to front that upfront cost. So I'm just really excited about the fact that this is presented at the time of purchase to the participating shop. I do have most of these funding opportunities on our website. I have the link at the bottom here on our website under grant opportunities if you do want to learn more about any of them. Lisa, do you have anything about funding before we move on?
I was just at 2 conferences this last week and was told there is a lot of funding opportunities that are going to be opening this spring, summer, and fall. So as Shelby mentioned, we will be keeping this grants opportunity page updated. So be sure to watch it, check it, join our newsletter if you would like on cleanairchoice.org. And if you have a project idea, just send it to us and we can, again, add it to our bucket list and have it shovel ready. You can see these projects come out with not a lot of time for turnaround. So it's always great to have as many of the project partners lined up in pieces vetted. So thank you.
There was a couple questions. Tim typed his question in. Can you guys see it on the chat?
I did reply to Tim's question about the states on the map that had no color. Are they already well on their way to EV, such as California, or in some cases not well on their way? I just mentioned that the states not in color are a combo of the comments that Tim mentioned. For example, California has many, many resources. And for example, North Dakota is less able to take on the project deliverables for that particular funding opportunity at that point in time. For example, when Drive Electric USA 1 came out, we thought we had enough partnerships and pieces of the puzzle in place where we did not want to have the paperwork side of this grant opportunity on. But when the second opportunity came around, we saw the advantages of being part of it. So. And then Shelby, with the Great River Road project, there are getting to be many more EV tow vehicles. So it would be great to have fast chargers along the Great River Road in Minnesota. There's a true lack of chargers along the river and Lake Superior.
And speaking of charging, I know Xcel Energy has just purchased a couple charging units that will be like mobile mounted so that if someone's car loses power along the freeway or something, they can actually go out and charge it up right on site. So I think that should, keep people feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, there are more companies that are coming out with this kind of process. One company that we work with is Pioneer Mobility, I believe, if I'm saying it correctly, that has been mobile and working with some of the tribal nations this past 2 years. And Shelby, do you remember the other company that John had mentioned in passing? Sorry to put you on the spot, but there's at least 3 companies out there that are currently doing this mobility infrastructure. And that is also part of the carshare East Side expansion that will be attempting to put in mobile charging to see how it fits into the community before committing to the host site. So
yeah.
I have a couple of concerns. Oh, I'm sorry, Doug. Excuse me. Go ahead. This is Sandy.
I was just going to say, I think we have time for one more question, and Sandy, you've got it.
Well, I've been squirming through this presentation because on one hand, we have to get rid of gas-powered vehicles. I can just tell you there are huge health problems that are caused by them, and I have one of them. I will die from the effects of pollution and the chemicals in it. I have lymphoma. And so and I've lived next to the freeway for 50 years, but I've also been a commuter cyclist all that time. For 52 years, I haven't owned a car, nor has my husband. And I know how easy it is actually to get around walking and by bicycle, and I'm not talking an e-bike, and lately with the help of public transport. So I'm worried because of what the batteries are made of. And I read an article in the Trib this winter about where the mining happens and the devastation to those areas. And so we're just passing on the problem to another environment, another people. So there's that concern. Unless we can figure out a way to make batteries that doesn't pollute and rip up other parts of the world, and this happened to be in Indonesia. And secondly, except for the recycling trucks and the buses, school buses and other buses, public transit, it still reinforces the idea that we each need to get in our own car. It's a big wad of car. It takes up a lot of space to park, to store, to move. It needs highways. It needs parking lots at stores. And I've lived in countries, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, where people don't do that. And so it contributes still to our individualistic bad habit, and I'm sad to see that.
Yeah, just in reference to your battery question, nearly every Department of Energy and many of the other funding sources are now having a lot of research and development opportunities for battery recycling programs. Argonne National Laboratory has done some really great paper handout or paper case studies to share that I'd be happy to share with Doug. And I believe John Dunlop and some of his project partners locally have come across some really good case studies as well.
And I agree that public charging is important for intercity charging, but 90% of our problem goes away if we can charge overnight in our place of dwelling. And then all the public charging issues really diminish in the importance. And I really think that should be the major focus of our efforts.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank both of you for a wonderful presentation. Mao. So, I mean, what do you guys do in your spare time? I mean, you have so many programs to keep track of. So I just, thank you so much for doing this. We're down to the time we need to cut away for our MRES meeting. And if people have questions or anything, please, you can either, send them directly to Shelby or Lisa or route them through me and I'll make sure they get them. So thank you so much both for this wonderful presentation. And we will be putting this up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to share it with other people that you come in contact with, feel free to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Ellie, thank you so much for recording.